Well, to discuss the proposed expenditure of the 2023 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget, I'm joined by Inyobong USEN, Head of Research and Policy Advisory at Budget Nigeria. Thank you for your time, Inyobong. Now, looking at the nation's supplementary budget for 2023, what are your thoughts on the various allocations?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me. I met that document with mixed feelings. Mixed feelings because amidst some laudable interventions in that proposal, you still find some level of profligacy. You still find some prioritization issues that we have discussed, for some time now, especially in these times where Nigerians are having a hard time. Subsidy has been removed, inflation is at a record high, and Nigerians would be expecting that some of, the instances of this profligacy that we've seen in the past when, there was windfall from oil, was something that we thought in these times that government would move away from. But we've seen that in this document, government has behaved, in the contrary to what we had expected. And I believe that as we progress in conversation, we would cite specific instances where government has done well, and we in other instances where we feel government should have done better.
Do you think that the federal government can maintain prudency at this trying period in the nation's economy?
I beg your pardon, can you come again?
Well, I asked that at this critical time of the nation's economy, given your mixed feelings, how do you think that the federal government can maintain prudency?
I mean, we've spoken a lot about the cost of governance. If you look at the State House budget, for instance, you have a 4 billion naira budget to renovate the house of the residence of Mr. President, and another 2.5 billion naira to renovate the residence of the Vice President. And you ask yourself, what states did President Buhari and Oshibanjo leave both residential houses in just when they left in May, that we would be requiring 6.5 billion naira to renovate both houses? Then you come to also the residential houses in Lagos as well, with the residential house in Dodan Barracks and that of the Vice President also in Lagos. And you ask yourself, should this be a priority of the government in this late hour of 2023, considering some of the very, 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 very tough challenges that Nigerians are going through as a result of the shocks from the removal of the petroleum subsidy and the unification of the different windows of the exchange rate. You look at items like a presidential yacht that is in the budget of the Navy, and you begin to ask yourself, what is really the priority of government, especially if you situate it within the fact that very critical items like the provision for the setup of the student's loan is sharing almost the same line item, the same cost in terms of the value of that line item with a presidential yacht. And you would see that the federal government in that proposal had budgeted about 15.2 billion naira to recruit about 10,000 police constables. If you put that side by side with the budget for the two houses to be renovated in Abuja for the president, which is at 8 billion, and the two houses to be renovated for the vice president, which is at 6.5 billion, and the 1.5 billion naira that has also been allocated to buy vehicles for the office of the First Lady, you see that for those three persons alone, you have more allocations to those items that affect just those three persons than what you have budgeted to recruit 10,000 constables. And that begs the question, what is really the priority of government at this critical point in time? And so government has not shown that it wants to be prudent around some of these inefficiencies that we have seen prevail over time. And what makes it even more worrisome is that it would seem that the executive is opening the floodgates for the kinds of insertions that we've seen the National Assembly do year in, year out with the appropriation bills presented before them. So if you are signaling the National Assembly right before you are going to present your 2024 budget, before them, in probably the next couple of weeks, that you have the fiscal bandwidth to go on with these kinds of profligate spending, then what stops them from also, doing same when they are reviewing the budget?
I'm sorry, I have to cut you short here. Head of Research and Policy Budget Advisor at Budget Nigeria. Thank you very much for lending your thoughts.